Good morning. It's Friday, December 6th. Here's what we're working on this morning. Hamilton police have arrested 5 people following a robbery at an Ancaster jewelry store.
Williams.
Hamilton's own Shea Gilgeous-Alexander dominates the Raptors at Scotiabank in Toronto.
And comedian legend Jamie Foxx returns to the stage.
Rushed to the hospital. You should be praying for them.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, the movement of the deck chairs continues.
Yes.
We got you and Fernette, and that's back on Monday. And look who it is.
Hi,
Hey, Shelley Marriage. Oh my goodness, you've been working a lot, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
And not only have you been here, you've been having to work because of all the active weather we've had. Goodness.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking about snow since last Monday.
Right?
Whether it's lake
Hasn't
effect
stopped.
or a system, now we're back to lake effect.
Yeah.
Here we go. And it feels like we went from summer to winter.
Just like that.
What happened to
moved.
fall?
You know what I mean? It didn't really
passed right
arrive. Really feeling for some people in the province, like our friends in the London area, that,
Yes.
man, they're getting pounded with a whole bunch of
Yeah.
snow. Now those snow belt areas, like these snow squalls are just kind of sitting right over top of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Snow squall warning in effect for London, the London area. So we had that southwesterly flow, now the northwesterly flow. So yeah, it's just all in my head. Let's talk about traffic right now, and then we'll talk about weather and all of the snow or what's happening heading into the weekend. Not aware of any problems along the 403 stretch heading into the downtown core of Hamilton. You can see traffic is light and roads are pretty clear. The QEW 403 in and around Hamilton, not too bad. Just watch out, the side roads are a little bit slick, some icy spots as well, so watch your footing if you're heading out the door and doing any walking this morning. Let's have a look at a few MTO cameras now and see how we're doing. This is the south end of the Burlington Skyway Bridge. Yeah, you can see it's pretty clear, much better than it was about a day and a half ago. Heading over the top side of the Burlington Skyway Bridge, seeing a little bit of volume heading Toronto bound, no problems east of Brant along the QEW. Through Appleby line, lightly traveled, weather conditions look pretty good. And one look out in St. Catharines, see how we're doing. Yeah, the highway's pretty clear out there as well, but we do have some more snow on the way. And yeah, like we were mentioning earlier at the top of the show, if you're in the snowbelt areas, London, Waterloo, areas south and east of Georgian Bay and Lake Huron, weather conditions, driving conditions very different in those areas. That's it for now. Let's get started and let's go back to the desk.
Thanks, Shelley. Well, jewelry robberies appear to be escalating across the GTHA. Just last night, Hamilton police arrested 5 people following a robbery at an Ancaster business. Police were called just before 9 last night to a robbery in progress at Ancaster Jewellers. Police say a vehicle reversed through the front window of the store. The suspects allegedly pointed a gun at the owner before smashing the display cases. Police say the owner was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and this marks the latest in a series of jewelry store robberies. Earlier this week, we reported on a robbery in Richmond Hill and another at a Markham Mall, which you can see here below. Police say 2 men and 4 boys aged 15 to 17 have been charged in the Markham robbery on Wednesday, while 6 others are still on the run. They're facing several charges, including robbery with a weapon. The jewelry robberies are not believed to be connected.
I'm going to go to Burlington now because the suspect is at large following 2 failed armed robberies last week. The first robbery had happened last Friday in Burlington and around 2:45 in the afternoon at the Maplewood Mart on Branch Street. Police say the suspect pointed a firearm at a store employee and demanded money. However, he was unsuccessful in his attempt and instead stole energy drinks before fleeing the store. Then about 45 minutes later, this same suspect entered the Ontario Variety Store, this one on Ontario Street, again in Burlington that is, again brandishing a firearm and demanding money. The employee pushed the suspect away and the suspect fled along Ontario Street. No injuries were reported. If you have information or can identify the suspect shown on the screen, you're asked to reach out to police.
Hamilton police have shut down an open-air drug market at King and East after a 5-week operation. Police say the area has faced years of complaints about drug dealing and petty crime. Investigators say the market was run like a business with various roles, including lookouts and traffickers. In total, 57 people were arrested and 103 charges were laid. Over the course of the investigation, Hamilton police seized more than $12,000 in coins. They also seized several illicit drugs, including crack cocaine, cannabis, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. Police believe the operation was run by Vincent Asante, who is now facing drug-related charges. They also seized over $51,000 from Asante's residence and vehicle.
Police say DNA evidence has allowed them to identify the remains of a man found in the Niagara River in 1995. Niagara police say an autopsy at the time, it cannot positively identify the man, who remained known as John Doe. So they say they were contacted last year by an organization that assists missing persons investigations, which flagged a possible match with a 46-year-old man reported missing from the U.S. city of Niagara Falls and last seen in June of 1995. They say DNA from that man's relatives and samples from the remains were collected and compared, and the remains were identified over the summer this year.
Polytechnique Montreal is set to pay tribute to the 14 young women murdered at the engineering school 35 years ago. Vigils and other events are scheduled in Montreal and across the country to mark the anniversary of the December 6, 1989 mass killing. School reps and student associations say they will lay flowers at the commemorative plaque, where the public is also invited to pay their respects. 14 beams of light will illuminate the sky above Mount Royal at 5:10 p.m. when the first shots were fired.
I'm going to go down under now because 3 mountain climbers, 2 from the U.S. and 1 from Canada, are missing in New Zealand's tallest peak and are believed to have died in a fall. So the men's bodies have not been found, but today police say the search has ended based on footprints seen in the snow during a drone survey and belongings retrieved from the slopes this week. They were reported missing back on Monday. So the Americans, they were Kurt Blair and Colorado's Carlos Romero of California. New Zealand authorities have not named the Canadian climber as of yet. Now this peak is over 12,000 feet high and is part of the Southern Alps on New Zealand's South Island. The terrain is difficult to get through. Avalanche risks are aplenty, changeable weather, and also glacier movement.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says new legislation is coming that will target homeless encampments across the province. In a letter to big city mayors, Ford pledges to use the notwithstanding clause if necessary. He says the province will provide the tools to help municipalities clear encampments and crack down on public drug use. He'll also provide more funding for shelter space.
The focus will be on ensuring that, as we've heard constantly from people, they want a return to, they want to feel safe in their community. So we will be ensuring that we give resources to our municipal partners to ensure that we can have public safety. But at the same time, we understand that those who are in encampments, by and large, suffer from mental health and addiction, and we'll be providing additional resources to that as well. But we've heard the people of the province of Ontario loud and clear. We've heard from our municipal friends loud and clear. They want the encampments cleared out. They want their communities cleaned. And at the same time, they want to provide resources and services to people who are in them.
The chair of Ontario Big City Mayors Committee and Burlington Mayor Marianne Mead Ward responded to Premier Ford's announcement, saying that they're pleased to see the commitment to additional funding for shelters and the prioritization of treatment over incarceration for drug users. There's a growing divide among some living in St. Catharines about how best to handle the homeless encampments that dot the city, with one side calling on the province to provide better supports and the other calling for it to invoke a controversial measure that would uproot them entirely. A petition has been launched by one resident calling on the government to invoke a notwithstanding clause that would grant municipalities the lawful ability to relocate encampments. In 2023, the Ontario Superior Court of Justice ruled that in some cases, the removal of a homeless encampment would violate a person's charter rights. That's a measure that Rob McConnell says forgoes his.
And because of the court ruling, everything had to stop because according to the charter, you know, they were protected and they were allowed to stay where they were. However, what somebody forgot, Roger, was that we too are protected by the same charter. We too have our rights, and when people start threatening residents, when people start committing criminal acts in our neighborhood on our property, this is where it got personal.
Meanwhile, another group of residents in St. Catharines have voiced their concern as well, but say the notwithstanding clause isn't the way to go about it.
All right, let's get into Sportsline. Oh, it's a special night in the court in Toronto as Hamilton's own Shea Gilgeous-Alexander made his only appearance in the Big Smoke with his first place OKC Thunder. SGA has been his usual fantastic self to start the season, averaging just under 30 points a night. Last night, no different.
Williams, the Gilgeous-Alexander pulls up at the foul line, and that one rattles in as well. You know he wants to put on a show here at home.
Oh, he sure did put on a show there, Matt Devlin, for family and friends in attendance as SGA dominated the Raptors, who were vying for a third straight win, but this one, not even close. It was a rout by the Thunder, who beat the Raptors by 37, with Shea dropping 30 of those points, just above his season average. 129-92, giving Drake some love there right before the half. OKC has now won 6 of 7. They sit atop the Western Conference at 17-5. SGA's Canadian teammates, RJ Barrett, led the Raptors with 17, who played from behind the entire game in their 17th loss of the season. We'll hear from SGA next hour what it means to play at home. Well, some exciting news for Canadian basketball fans yesterday is we now know the name of the WNBA franchise coming to Toronto in 2026. The name leaked online by the WNBA on Tuesday was officially announced along with the logo. There it is right there. The Toronto Tempo. Okay. So all those kind of the motion is representing 5 players in the court and the fans is a 6. The team colors will be red and blue, as the franchise says is a very Canadian color palette, although it's getting mixed reviews. I think it's pretty fantastic. Exciting for the team to arrive in a year and a bit. Well, it will finally become official at a noon-hour press conference today that Burlington native Ted Govea will be tapped as the new general manager of your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Govea is coming from a successful decade with the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg as their assistant GM, leading them to 5 straight Grey Cups, winning 2 of them. He started with the Argos back in 2010, winning a Grey Cup with current Ticats coach Scott Milanovic in 2012. Spent many years playing and coaching Burlington and at the Canadian University level. I'm excited to have Ted, hopefully on Morning Live, maybe as early as next week, to talk about his new gig.
They are going, and then Goff falls down, but Montgomery is able to pick up the first down.
Yeah, to the Thursday nighter where a gutsy call by Dan Campbell and his Detroit Lions to go for it on 4th and inches late in the 4th quarter would pay off against their NFC North rivals from Green Bay. Back and forth entertaining affair would end, we don't see it here, but it would end on a Jake Bates 35-yard field goal to propel these upstart Lions to a 34-31 win over Green Bay, winning an 11th straight game and clinching a playoff spot in the NFC. Packers fall to 9-4, which is good, but only good for 3rd spot in the North because that's a good division. Minnesota's 10-2. Week 14 underway.
Morrissey looking for the win. Hands it off. There's a shot. Lowry denied. Morrissey. Lowry scores.
All right, let's go to the ice in Buffalo. Adam Lowry's overtime goal would lift the struggling Winnipeg Jets to snap a 4-game losing streak, give them a 3-2 win over the Sabres, who are struggling too. Now have lost 5 straight. Jets, who started the year at 15-1, 3-7 in the past 10. And take this one, though. Ottawa, Edmonton, Montreal also won. Calgary, the only Canadian team picking up a loss on a busy Thursday. Leafs back at home tonight when they host Washington at the Bank.
Well, if you're up bright and early, heading out the door, the 403, looking at our exclusive cameras, seeing a little bit of volume, weather not a factor as of now in that area. Winds certainly have subsided, still a bit of a northwesterly flow though, so that's why we're dealing with lake effect on the south and east shores of the Great Lakes. Let's have a look at a few more cameras now and see how we're doing. Here's a look at the Burlington side of the Skyway Bridge, lightly traveled there, and just west of Eastport Drive, traffic moving towards us. That is your Toronto-bound commute. Looking good on the QEW through Centennial Parkway, no problems through Stony Creek. And here's a quick look out in St. Catharines of the 406, south of the QEW. Yeah, the highway seems to look pretty clear, but you can see lots of snow on the ground. And keep that in mind for the on and off ramps. Could be a little bit slick in those side roads as well. All right, segue to weather now. Looking at conditions at the Monroe Airport in Hamilton, it's cold, -12, feeling like -17, but clear skies and winds, as I said, pretty light right now. At Pearson International, -11 as well. We have a westerly flow there. sustain at about 11 kilometers an hour. And looking at your, first light of the day, 7:05, the sunrise, 7:34, the sun setting at 4:45, and the last light of the day will be 5:16, so we'll have 9 hours and 10 minutes of day length. In case you're wondering, for the morning commute in the Golden Horseshoe, it's going to be a chilly one, but mostly clear. Weather shouldn't be a factor in and around the Hamilton, Toronto area, but here you go, looking at today, as I mentioned, with the wind direction now shifting from southwest to northwest, you can see the snowbelt areas, so areas south and east of the Great Lakes picking up lake effect, snow squall warnings in effect in and around Georgian Bay, Lake Huron, the southern shores stretching all the way into the London area. And then later this afternoon, our winds are going to shift to more of a westerly flow. So the east side, especially of Georgian Bay, could pick up an additional 50 centimeters of snow. That's it for now. Back to the desk.
50 more, goodness.
More snow. Thanks, Shelley. All right, well, we're going to take a quick little break, but coming right up, Honda drivers, there's a recall that you need to know about. We're going to have all those details coming up in about 2 minutes. All right, let's take a look at the market on your Friday morning. Our dollar is down 2 basis points to 71.22 cents U.S. Gold gained over $15, and crude is down 21 cents, trading above $68 a barrel. Checking midday European trading, markets are down in London, but up in Frankfurt and Paris.
Off to Asia we go. Markets are down in Tokyo, but up in Hong Kong and Shanghai. North American markets on Thursday. So some slight gains on Bay Street for the TSX, but big losses for the Dow Jones. It's been like a yo-yo all week on Wall Street. NASDAQ has losses of 34. Let's see how they wrap up the trading week on this Friday, December the 6th.
There's been a recall on certain Honda vehicles in the U.S. and Canada because of an issue that can increase the risk of a fire. Honda is recalling certain SUVs because the fuel filler neck can separate from the filler pipe in a crash, allowing gasoline to leak and increase the risk it could catch on fire. The recall covers some Honda Passports in the 2023-2024 model years, as well as some 23 to 25 Honda Pilots. Nearly 206,000 are being recalled in the U.S., while an additional 12,000 vehicles are being recalled right here in Canada. Honda says it has had one warranty claim and there were no reports of injuries due to this flaw.
Purelator and UPS, they have paused shipments from some courier companies because of a backlog in deliveries brought on by the Canada Post strike. Companies like eShipper act as middlemen between smaller e-commerce businesses and then large carriers. A notice sent from eShipper to its clients says no shipments will be processed or moved by these carriers for 48 hours starting Wednesday. Businesses say the halt in cargo and the broader postal strike fallout could cost them the entire holiday season.
Canada's parliamentary budget officer says the government's tariffs on Chinese products will increase federal revenue by $473 million over 5 years. Back in October, the Fed started imposing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made EVs. A 25% tax on steel and aluminum imports was also levied. The government says unfair trading practices combined with what they call abysmal environmental and labor standards allowed China to price products very low. The PBO says the tariffs will result in a 50% reduction in aluminum and steel imports from China.
CIBC, BMO, and TD Bank, they released their fourth quarter earnings yesterday. CIBC reported a profit of nearly $1.9 billion, raised its quarterly dividend to 97 cents a share. BMO's profit rose to $2.3 billion, partly due to the reversal of the 2022 jury verdict related to a Ponzi scheme in the U.S. Its dividend increased by 4 cents to $1.59 a share. TD Bank posted a profit of $3.6 billion, up from $2.9 billion last year. It was boosted by selling part of its stake in Charles Schwab. Now, in October, TD did agree to pay over $4 billion in fines tied to anti-money laundering probe in the United States.
All right. Off to a good start this morning.
It's it's a chilly start. I'll tell you that.
One.
This is the coldest day that I've experienced in a little while.
Yeah.
So you'll have to bundle up if you're heading out the door right now. To get you all set for that, we'll check in with Shelley Marriage right after the break.
Checking traffic right now. Here's a look at the south end of the Burlington Skyway Bridge. Yeah, the highway's pretty clear. Seeing a little bit of volume heading Toronto bound over the top side. Not seeing any flashing lights, so that's always a good sign. Not aware of any problems in either direction on the Hamilton side of the Burlington Skyway Bridge. And heading from the junction, we are seeing some traffic building Toronto bound. Nothing unusual for this time of the day. Looking good through Burlington in both directions along the QEW. So looking at our radar, there is a snow squall warning in effect for the area circled here, an additional 5 to 10 centimeters through to tonight. But areas east of Lake Huron, especially east of Georgian Bay, as our winds shift to a westerly flow, anywhere from 25 to 50 additional centimeters. And some of these areas of the snow belt already over 100 centimeters. We had that prolonged lake effect event. Then we had a system bring us snow, and we have another snow event coming our way tomorrow. So we'll have a daytime high of -2, feeling around -7. It's a chilly day today. Right now, a wind chill of -17. Look at that, -13 overnight. That will feel closer to -20. Then we do have some snow coming our way on Saturday. Behind this system, some warmer air. Look at this, we jump up to +5. So feeling almost -20 tonight. A day and a half later, we're at +5 on Sunday, and a chance of rain on Monday and Tuesday. I don't know. That's it. That's it. That's all I can say, guys. Back to you.
Okay,
Here we go.
Well,
It's going to be wet.
bye-bye snow.
Yeah, I guess.
Just as the, hopefully that's not as warm for all the ski hills because a lot of them are opening this weekend.
That is true.
Okay, let's go out west because it's a big weekend in Vancouver, and the iconic Gastown steam clock is falling under Taylor Swift's spell ahead of her concerts in the city this weekend. Okay.
All right.
What song was that?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I feel bad for. I was like, who? Was it Shake It Off?
It's
Okay, yeah, well, the
Shake It
clock
Off.
has been returned for the first time to play Swift's hit Shake It Off every 15 minutes. A longer sequence will chime on the hour and will continue until Swift's 35th birthday on December 13th. And the idea started as an April Fool's joke earlier this year, but the area's business association decided that it'd be a joyful way to be part of Swift's Vancouver takeover.
Okay, so this is it. This is it for the Eras Tour.
This is it, the last 3 days.
So tonight, tomorrow night, Sunday night.
And then it's done.
Close to 150, like 149 shows.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated, but I would love to see like a behind the scenes on like
Just to know how it all came together.
logistically, like did they drive all the way to Vancouver from Toronto?
It's going to be a mystery for
Fascinating.
itself. Yes.
Okay, it's Friday. Yay, Simone's here, Shelly's here, you're here. We'll see you after the break.